Hi everyone at INMS. I hope this video finds you guys well. I know that right now in quarantine things can be a little bit challenging. I think we're all feeling a little bit cooped up, pent up. So Ava and I decided to make a few videos about different ways in which we're personally treating our bodies and our minds right to make it through this whole quarantine process. So the first video I want to talk to you guys about is running. I think that everyone thinks about taking care of themselves and their mind, but it's also really important to take care of your body in this time. If you're just staying inside, sitting on the couch, eventually your body is going to feel bad. That's just the way it works. I want to talk about running as a really easy way to get out and move around in quarantine, work yourself out a little bit. And it's actually something that's allowed in New York. You are allowed to go outside of your apartment to go running, to do exercise. And so it's a good way to get out and see some things. Running is really good for your body because it does things like it's your heart pumping. It's called cardio work. So that's a good workout for your heart as well as obviously your legs. It's a good way to burn calories, burn fat. So it's a really good way for you to stay healthy that way. But also if you're an athlete, if you're someone who plays sports, you can actually just run for endurance. Most sports involve some sort of long distance running over the course of a game. You're running for a long time. And so to make sure that you still have those legs in the fourth quarter, you need to run, keep your stamina up. Beyond even that though, running is also good for your brain. When you run, your brain actually releases chemicals which make you feel better, make you feel happy. And even beyond that, there's some things that just the sunlight gives us itself, like vitamin D, that comes from the sun. And so if you're not going outside, not getting enough of that, you won't feel as good. Running is a really good way to get outside, take care of your body, and take care of your mind. So I would highly recommend it, and I'm going to teach you a few things about running in this video. Hope you guys enjoy it. When you're going for a run, the first thing you want to do is make sure that your body's ready for you to run. So you want to go and you want to just do a warm up first. Get your legs going. That way, when it's time to stretch, it's really important. I'll get into that in a second. Your body's warm and you're not stretching cold muscles. That's really important. So maybe if you want to run around like down your street and back, or maybe around the block, that's a really good warm up to just get your legs working, and then you can get into your stretches. Stretching is really important because when you're running, your muscles are moving. They're pulling and they're pushing. And so if you're moving too fast, too soon, and your muscles aren't ready for it, you can pull and your muscles can actually hurt themselves because they pull too far. So what stretching does, once your muscles are nice and warm, you slowly pull your muscles a little bit. That way, when you're running, if that same motion happens where it pulls really fast, you're not gonna get hurt because your muscles are ready for it and they've already been stretching. So I'm gonna walk you through a few quick stretches that you can do really easily, which will make you feel way better when you're running. So this is really important to do before you run as well as after you run to make sure that your legs feel good, because the first few times you run, if you get really sore afterwards, you're not gonna wanna do it again. Stretching is gonna help get over that a lot. I'll start with the first stretch, which is very easy. It actually sounds a little bit funny because it's so easy. It's just called toe up. So you're gonna keep your back straight, put your foot out in front of you and put your toe up and lean your body forward over it. And you'll feel this in the back of your knee. Stretches usually don't really hurt, but they don't feel super comfortable. You don't wanna push yourself too far so that your body actually really hurts. That happens, loosen it up, don't do that as much. For this one, if you lean over more, the more you lean over, the more you're gonna feel it. So don't go too far so that it's uncomfortable. Just stay about here, wherever you feel is personally good. So you're gonna put that foot down and then do the same thing. Allow your back to like fall forward a little bit more this way, put the toe down, and you'll feel it in the same spot behind your knee and a little bit higher up in your calf. All right, and then you wanna do the same thing on the other side. Toe up, lean over, and then toe down. I'm doing these pretty quickly. You want to usually hold them for more like 15 seconds. That way your muscles get really stretched out. Then you're going to take your leg, hold your foot like this, and you're just going to pull it back. And you're going to feel this all here in your thigh, at the front of your thigh. Again, the further back you pull it, the more you're going to feel the stretch. So if you pull it all the way back to here, it might hurt a little bit. So it might be better just to leave it here. And then you want to do it with the other side as well. Next, we're gonna do hamstring stretch. So that's the whole back of your leg. So what you wanna do here is you wanna get on nice flat ground. You're gonna stand on one leg, so we're gonna start with the right, and you're gonna lift your other leg up, so you're just balancing on this one. Lock your knee so that knee isn't bending, and then just bend your body over until you're at about as close to 90 degrees here at your hip as you can get. So your body goes this way and your legs go down. And you're gonna feel it all along the back of your leg, and that's gonna be a really good stretch for running because your hamstring is gonna get worn out. And we'll do the other side. You need to put your arms out a little bit for balance, that's okay. All right, and the next one we're gonna do is just the back of your thigh up here. So you're gonna plant your leg and then just bend over and bring your body down close, like hug it close to your leg here like this, and you can put your hands on the ground to balance yourself, and you're going to feel this right here on the back of your leg. then the other side, same thing. It's mostly just about this. Don't worry about this leg too much. The back leg is more just for balance than anything else. Next, we're gonna keep working on the inside of our legs here. So we're gonna just spread our legs like this and then just lean over so your body's kind of over one of your feet, but keep this other foot planted on the ground and your legs straight. Like that, and you're gonna feel it right along the inside of your leg, right down there, on the inside of your knee. And then same thing on the other side. Okay, and then next we're gonna do what I call the Spider-Man position. So you're just gonna crouch like this, put your elbows on the inside of your knees, and then fall forward onto your hands. So you're just pushing your knees apart. That's another good one you can do. The last one that I'm gonna talk with you guys about is just gonna be the classic bend down, touch your toes. Again, this is gonna be a hamstring. So you're gonna stand up, legs straight, below you, bend down, try to touch your toes. If you can, that's great. If you can't, that's okay too. You'll get there. You can even do this before, like I did before, with your legs out like this, and then touch one toe, and then the other toe, and that way you really focus on one leg at a time. So there's some easy stretches you can do to make sure you're keeping yourself healthy and won't hurt yourself when you're running. It's really important to do stretches like that before you run as well as after you run, just to make sure that your legs don't get injured first and then aren't as sore the next day. Hopefully that helps. Next, I'm gonna talk about running. The last thing I'm gonna talk about before I actually get into running and go for a run myself is I'm gonna talk about the way you run, because this sounds like a really silly thing, like we all know how to run, right? But actually the way you're running can really help your body feel better. For instance, if you're running and you're kind of too hunched over like this, or looking down at the ground, you actually might make your back or your neck a little sore. So I'm gonna talk about the best way to run so that you're keeping your body in line and moving the right way to minimize how sore you are the next day. You want your head to be looking basically straight forward. You want to be looking like down the road, down the sidewalk, straight ahead, like to the end of the road or like the next intersection. Because if you're looking down, your body's going to hunch over too much. If you're looking up, your body's going to be too upright. So if you keep your head level, looking straight forward, that's going to be the best position for it. Next, with your shoulders, you don't want your shoulders to come too far forward, because again, it's going to be hunched over and you're going to feel tired really fast because you're not breathing enough, because your lungs aren't fully able to open up. So you want your shoulders back and even pulled a little bit together when you're running. That way, your lungs can really breathe in as much air as they possibly can. Now your arms, we all know the running motion. You want your arm at about 90-degree angle, and then you want to go from about your hip to your chin when you're running. So you want your arms to go alternating like this. And what this does, people don't really understand, but what this does is, if you've ever been on a swing, you know, when you kick your legs forward to push forward and then back to pull back. So by doing that alternatingly, you're basically doing that kick forward motion with your arms that you do on a swing, so that you're keeping your weight moving forward. It's a way of pushing yourself forward. So it's actually really good for you, and it helps you run more if you're moving your arms like this. Also, people oftentimes run with their fists closed like this. You leave your hands relaxed. So don't clench your fists, don't like keep them rigidly. Just let them relax, do what they want to do. Actually, I sometimes like to run while listening to music with headphones. And so if you need to hold your phone, you can't really keep them relaxed. That's what I do. So that's not as much of an option. But if you're not, just remember, keep those hands relaxed. Then with your whole body position, you don't want to run too upright like this. You want to run a little bit lean forward. If any of you guys, play sports, sometimes you hear the term, put your head down and run. That's for sprints, because if you're leaning forward, your body's weight and momentum wants to take you forward. So if you're really sprinting, you want to lean really far forward. Like if you've seen runners at the beginning of a race, when they're all the way down, like down in the blocks is what they call it. That's so that their body weight is so far forward that when they start to run, their body's naturally going forward. It gives them that little extra boost when they're running. We don't need to do that because we're just jogging. We're not going for a full sprint. So you don't want to be all the way over here, hunched over like that, because that's going to hurt your lower back. But you do want to come to about this spot. So you want to be a little leaned over, that way your weight's carrying you forward naturally, but you don't want to be so far leaned over that your back's going to start hurting. So just like here. And as you run and you get a little tired, you might want to pull back and lean back, as well as like raise your head up or lower it. That's just what happens when you get tired. But the more that you can resist the urge to do that, the better. The better you'll feel while during the run, and the better you'll feel the next day. Hopefully that is good information. And then lastly, you want to make sure your knees, you don't want to run with your legs too far apart so your knees don't hit each other, because that's going to also cause your feet to kick together like that, that can cause you to trip. Just make sure you're keeping your legs far enough apart when you're running, but not overextended. I'm about to go for my run. I have drank enough water, which is really important. I like to plan my runs somewhere where there's a view. Right now, I'm right by the water, kind of like y'all in Manhattan. I'm gonna try to run by somewhere with water. I think the view is really nice and is a good motivating reason to keep running. That's my preference. I think in New York, there's lots of good running trails or running paths along the water, both on the east and the Hudson. There's one right next to Isaac Newton, which is very easy and convenient to get to if you would like to. So that's what I would recommend. There's also lots of great paths in Central Park if you want to do that. I think the easiest ones and the least crowded will probably be along the water, and during the summer that'll make it cooler. Make sure you hydrate. I like to plan a path before I go, and so for my warm-up I'm just going to run up to the top of the driveway. So I made it to the top of the driveway. You'll know it's about time to start stretching when your heart rate elevates. You might be a little bit out of breath, even start to sweat, and that means you're nice and warmed up. In fact, they always say don't really stretch until you sweat a little bit, because that's how you know your body's started to heat up and gotten warm. I'm in a little bit more of a rural area than New York, kind of out in the woods here. But while I stretch and sit around, I like to look out at the woods. It's just started to become spring here. The trees are just starting to get leaves. There are birds trying to come out, and so it's very easy to sit here, do some stretches, listen to the birds, and appreciate some time in nature, which is also really good for both your mind and your feelings and sanity here during quarantine. So I really like finding a spot like this where you can just sit for a second and be in nature. I know that's not as easy in New York, but maybe still places like parks or on the water, that's somewhat possible. So a little bit into my run now, and I'm gonna take a break to talk to you guys. I think what's really important about running is that you need to listen to your body. So if you need a second, if you're going too fast, it's okay to slow down. It's okay to walk for a bit. It's okay to take a break, sit down for a bit. You can also even run with someone from like 6-7 feet apart, so you're safely apart. And that way, when you just slow down or stop, you can talk to someone. I also really recommend having a nice running playlist. Put some music you like listening to, something fast paced, and then listen to that while you're running. It's also important to set a pace for yourself while running, like a speed, and one that's not too fast, because otherwise you're gonna get really tired really quickly. Something that you're comfortable with and you think you can keep up for a long time, because it's not about just running for 10 minutes, it's about running for a while. So take your time, run at a speed you need to run with and feel comfortable doing. And again, when you're running like this and you're taking a break and walking, you can really appreciate your surroundings, the nature, the birds, and the beautiful day it is right now, start of spring, before it's gotten too hot. So it's really nice, and I like to just take a second to do that too. As you're running, it's good to keep your eyes open for different stuff, because you can see we've got some buds in the trees, some flowers coming out, and actually in that tree behind there you can see this little bird's nest right there, which is really cool. And even in woods in places like Maine, we've got our first flowers coming out here on the side of the road. And also, if you can see them over here, fiddlehead ferns. These little ferns, which actually people like to eat. They're really tasty, but they're also named after the shape of a fiddle, like a violin, because those tops look just like the heads of violins. So always lots of cool stuff to keep your eye out for when you're out here. Take a look. Lots of beauty out here. So while you're running, keep your eyes open, keep a pace, keep breathing, and just enjoy the places you're running through. It's very beautiful sometimes. And to keep an eye out while you're doing this, you might pick up a little friend under there. Don't know who this dog is, but it's a cutie. And also, out that way, if you can see, right out there, that's the Atlantic Ocean. I'm up in Maine, which is just pretty far north of New York. And so we're also on the Atlantic, and so I just like running somewhere where we can see the water like that, because that's out there to the open ocean. Pretty cool. And the dog's cute too. So if you can see out in that tree there, we got a nice bird. Might be an oriole, I think. And then down over here as well. And wow, they're loud right now. So let's see if we can get a closer look at some of these. Oh, there they go. There you can still hear them. They're around. And up ahead, I might just sit down for a bit. Just be in nature for a bit, because it's really easy to get trapped indoors nowadays. And so I'm gonna enjoy the time I have outside while I can enjoy it. Here's the view that I said I was gonna try to run to. This was my plan the whole time, is to come out here, just take advantage of the day. So you can see out there, that's out the water, and right there, that way, in the distance, you can see the buildings. That's Portland. That's the biggest city in Maine. So there's lots to look at it from up here. So islands out there. Actually, that island out there is called Long Island, just like in New York. Funny coincidence. So I just like to sit here and look out at the water, listen to the birds, smell the ocean. So just made it back to home. I think I ran a pretty solid distance, but start with whatever you're comfortable with. Even a mile or two can make a big difference, and it can be really hard to start, but as you keep going, you get better at it. So stick with it, and it'll pay off in the long run, I promise that. Now, I'm going to stretch again, because remember when we talked about the muscles, how they pull and push? Well, now, since your muscles have been pulled and pushed a lot while running, they're gonna start to contract and tighten up. So that's what makes you sore. Your muscles will be really tight and sore. And so if you stretch them out now before you sit down or like stop using them, it'll help them really stretch out a bit and not be quite as sore tomorrow. That's my next step. And I'm also gonna drink a lot of water, because after a run like that, especially as it's getting hotter, you're gonna sweat. And so it's important to regain that fluid just to stay healthy. The biggest things there in like just quarantine in general for taking care of your body is exercise and water. So even if you're not running, drink lots and lots of water. I hope this video helped you either be interested in running or, you know, inspired you to get out and do something to stay physically active out there. If you don't have the time, that's okay, I understand. But, you know, maybe give it a shot if it's something you haven't done before. Take care, all of you. Stay safe out there. I'll talk to you soon.